Business the power to prosper.
Positive news today on the jobs front. Payroll firm ADP reporting private sector hiring soaring by 297,000 jobs last month, well above the 100,000 jobs expected.
But is there a danger of reading too much into these numbers? Let's bring back Danny Hughes and our Bulls and Bears panel, Francis Newton, Gary Kaltbaum, and Peter Marisi. And Peter, Mr. Marisi, to you first on this one. You know, a lot of folks are probably saying to themselves today that Friday's jobs report is going to be blockbuster, but will it?
We don't know, because the ADP report so often doesn't forecast the BLS report very well, even though that's why they have it. It gets them a lot of publicity. But, you know, last month they were 92, and then the jobs report came out at 39,000. So certainly we're expecting a good jobs report. But don't expect it to be, you know, this is it, everything breaks loose. We're going to create 150,000 jobs, 200,000 jobs a month, some months in 2011, and that's good news. But it's not enough to bring unemployment down much below 9%.
Yeah, Francis, I mean, look, the ADP report, though, overall has been notably bearish throughout the year. But Peter Marisi's right. There has been disbelief in the ADP numbers for some time. They tend not to jibe with the official numbers. But the overall theme here and the overall problem is you need 13 million jobs to get the jobless rate below 6%. How do we get there?
How do we get there? We get there by keeping the liquidity high. That's very, very important. If we don't have enough liquidity or money in circulation, we don't have enough money floating for the small businesses and the private sector to hire, which we're going to need them to participate if we're going to get numbers that high. And that's how we keep the Great Depression type circumstances from sneaking up on us. And so we need to get the private sector borrowing up. We need to make sure that everything we're producing in our manufacturing stays in very high demand around the world so that we can keep the liquidity flowing. If we have a liquidity crisis, we will see that affect unemployment, and that will be the determining factor as to whether these numbers are sustainable if they are positive on Friday, and also whether they will continue to move higher and something isn't going to sneak up on us over the long term.
Gary, another piece of this, Gary Kaltbaum, could be, you know, companies are sitting on, what, $2 trillion in cash right now? They've got the cash. If they wanted to invest that in jobs, they could do it, but again, will they? Do they have that confidence now?
Well, look, it is a mortal lock that the job market's going to get better in 2011. It's just a natural law of order. Demand is picked up, and you're going to see companies not being able to cope with the business they have, with the personnel they have. So I expect the unemployment rate to come down into the 8s. The big question for me is this is all going to happen with the Fed at 0% interest rates and printing money out of thin air. What happens when they pull back? That's going to be the big issue. The other thing I'm watching closely is in 2 years, Barack Obama is saying they're going to go after taxes again and raise them again. And so we're already going to start talking about that. If they continue to put uncertainty into businesses' minds as well as the consumer, then I don't expect real good things to happen. But in the near term, I expect to see some pretty large numbers over the next 6 months to a year.
Danny, to Gary K's point, and that is that there's a reason why $2 trillion or so in cash, as Cheryl pointed out, is trapped and locked up on the balance sheets of companies, is because companies had the Jesus scared out of them with financial reform, health reform, fears of energy reform, right, Danny? So it should be no surprise that the president is reaching out now to businesses, for example, with this planned Chamber of Commerce speech in early February.
That's right. They're very concerned about taxes. They're very concerned about what's going to happen in the economy, and they want to keep fat with all of their cash. And frankly, there's been no incentive for companies to invest in real productive assets. There's been no real currency marketability. So the problem here is that companies don't want to spend before they know that the outlook looks much better. And right now, they're still concerned about that. They're still investing in efficiencies that is driving cost cutting, but they're not out there investing in people.
Peter Marisi, I know what Congress could do, the new Congress. They could put some more stimulus money out there. That'll help things, right, Peter?
So we can buy some more stuff at the Walmart through China? No, I don't think so. If you really want to get things going again, and if the president isn't being disingenuous, which I think he is by going to the chamber, instead of making a speech to the chamber, let's do something about those oil regulations in the Gulf so people can start drilling again, and can we work down the trade deficit and start having the dollar stay here. And let's do something about the trade deficit with China and a lot of the bank regulations, which are so onerous that are making it very difficult for moderate-sized banks to lend money. That's the real problem, is the regulation and the trade.
Francis, Peter Morisi just outlined a laundry list of issues. Do you agree with that this is what the government really should be dealing with?
Yeah, I definitely think that we need to get rid of all of this big government and all of this regulations. That's costing us money. We definitely cannot slash the spending. However, we need to concentrate on our liabilities, and we need to concentrate on our efficiency and not more regulations that are scaring businesses and they are scaring consumers. I completely agree. You cannot overhaul these systems in the middle of a fiscal problem.
Gary?
There has not been one day that we wake up in the morning and government's not thinking of doing something else that gets involved with business and the consumer. It's an everyday thing. And you know what? You don't even need a Democratic Congress to pass this stuff. The EPA is coming out with some onerous stuff right now about emissions. It's going to make car prices go up. So they're already starting to do some things that I think are crazy, especially at a time like this, or actually at any time. I am just in hopes they take a vacation for 6 months and just leave us the heck alone. We'll go to work every day and work our rear ends off, and things will get better.
That's not going to happen.
We should be so lucky, but
no. Furlough the bureaucrats for 3 months. Just tell them to stay home.
Because we've got the Bulls and Bears. That's all we need. Thanks to our panel.
That's right. Well, now you see it. Now you don't.
Why all of us are paying more and getting less. That is next.